Be a good human, not just a headline in your mind. Go beyond the hustle, where your real reasons hide.
So I want to start by saying it feels so good to physically have space. I am not climbing on my belly along the floor to get out of an area once you're doing your thing. And I can breathe. And Tara has space. I'm looking at her. She can move around. It's pretty incredible right now. It's really nice to find a new home to start working on all of this together.
So what she's implying is the fact that we just moved into a new studio.
Yes.
And so
that I built
Yes.
with our 4 boys. So everything that you see, myself and my kiddos put together, which was no small feat. I'm going to be honest. It's a lot more work than I anticipated. And I couldn't have done it without the boys. So it's once again bringing in your family, bringing in the people around you to help out and who believe in your mission. So it just feels so good when we got our studio. Our intention wasn't for it to be what it is now. It was supposed to be an off-site place where Dan could go and do work, computer work, and everything that he needed to do both on the roofing side and for Go Beyond the Hustle. And just a place to escape a little bit and have some quiet because otherwise you were working from home. And it quickly turned into more than that. And we were trying to smush ourselves into a very small
Tight
area.
place.
And it worked for a little while, and it's adorable and wonderful and part of the growing process. But just to be able to physically be here together and there be like
room
is just like, oh, it feels amazing.
Well, it kind of correlates into what the topic we want to talk about today is. We wanted to talk about, growing.
Yes.
And just like we grew from a small little tiny room to a nice studio that you guys built.
What a good lead in.
Right? And what we want to talk about today is how
Nice.
we started, we started small as a sales rep, not knowing anything about the industry and a family and things like that, about being part of the industry, to growing to where now we're talking about the personal struggles that we had going through growing and understanding the business.
Right. So we've been talking about our journey, about owning a roofing company and about the sacrifices that we calculated and chose to make to grow it and to grow our dream. And we've been focusing on what you've been doing out in the field and how you were learning and transitioning and figuring things out. But there was another side of it, and that's the me part of all of this. And it's a hard topic, and it's something that I have to remember that I'm speaking to a lot of the spouses out there, and I'm speaking to a lot of the support people and the family that surround all of you salespeople that are not 9 to 5. You are 24/7, 365, more or less. And that impacts all of the people around you.
Yep.
And so for me, as we were making these choices and sacrifices, roughly up until what we've been talking about, it was you and I.
Yep.
And so we chose to make these sacrifices, fully understanding what that was going to cost us, but what the gains were going to be. And along the way in this process, we started to have a family.
Yep.
And that changes absolutely everything. And suddenly you are making choices not only for yourself and for your employees and for your crews and everyone who's counting on you, but there are others that are directly impacted. And that was really hard. That was a very hard mountain for me as the person, the spouse. I had to come to terms, look at me looking down. I had to come to terms with the fact that I needed help. And that is a very, very hard thing. And that's something that I speak to a lot of salespeople when I am out in the world with you. They're coming to me because they're talking about the struggle on the work-life balance, which it's more of a work-life dance.
Yeah.
Because there's always give and take. It is never balanced. And we've never said it has been.
No.
But it ebbs and it flows. And you have to be conscious that it's more of a teeter-totter so that when you're at a spot as the salesperson that you can give, you need to give back to that other person and your family because you know it won't be long before you're taking again. So that's something to be just very conscious of. But what I needed to come to terms with is that I couldn't, one human, not just me, it wasn't me, it was a human. One person could not do what I was trying to do. And I had to realize that it wasn't me not being a good mom. It wasn't me being less of a functioning adult. It was about an impossible amount of work that shifted off of you to me so that you could go do what you needed to do. And suddenly I had, well, with when we had one kiddo, I managed and I did it, and I was still in the office and I was still running the company, and you were doing your thing, and we were balancing it. I was juggling it. And then we got a twofer deal, and I had twins, and my oldest was 18 months old when the twins came home, and that changed absolutely everything because I was outnumbered and you needed to travel. We were at a point in our worlds where the storms were where they were and you were still traveling. I don't remember where you were, Madison, Green Bay, wherever you were.
I think it was Streeter.
But you needed to be there Monday through Friday, roughly. And you weren't home. And I needed to come to the realization that one person could not run a household, have two infants and a toddler, and run a company, the books, everything that needed to get done. I mean, it's impossible when I think about it now. I don't even know why I even thought for a second that I could attempt it, because that's insane. But I remember my breaking point with it all. You were getting ready to leave, and I feel like you were going to Green Bay.
No, we were going south. It was
Madison,
Illinois.
Okay. Not sure on that. Gosh, it gets really hazy, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
well, what
It
problem
gets
when
really
you do that many storms?
Yeah, I know.
There's
I
a lot
can't
of
remember,
different-
but you were leaving.
Well, before you get into your breaking point, let me talk real
My
quick.
breaking point.
On my end of it, the difficulties I had in this situation was the fact that, when you're in a storm, and a lot of you sales reps can understand what I'm talking about, but when you're in a storm, literally that's the only thing going on in your brain, is color meetings, adjuster appointments, inspections, things like that. So you're thinking 7 days a week. Honestly, right now, as we're doing this podcast, I'm thinking about my next batch of storms, right? And it's real difficult for sales reps to think, put themselves out of their shoes and think in your shoes of all the issues and problems and things that your significant other has to take on.
Right.
Because their mindset is focused on what they have to do instead of thinking of things you have to do. And I think a lot of that is a result of the fact that they're just, everyone's busy, and they need to understand that being able to communicate back and forth is such an integral part of the process. And so go ahead with your breaking point. Sorry.
Go ahead. Just
go ahead with your breaking point. Let her ride. Breaking point.
So we were owning this company. We had a toddler and two brand new infants. We were also building a house. I was building the house. So while Dan was traveling, not only was I running the company and doing everything, but super duper pregnant, like wearing the moo-moos, the whole works. I was building a house, working with our builder to build a house.
Now you mentioned, I think it was Green Bay.
Did everyone
She
hear
was
that?
correct.
Surprise.
Is that a mic drop? Or what?
I know I was correct because when I was crying in the shower, there's a story, so I wasn't going to argue, but thank you for that.
You are correct.
Please make sure you keep that clip, Tara. I'm going to need that.
One time.
I'm going to say I was building a house because I was really building the house, which is really hard to do too. So yes, I was super pregnant with twins. I had a not quite 18-month-old on my hip. I was gigantic and wearing moo-moos. I was building a house and I was running a roofing company. How did I live? Good Lord Almighty. I do know that as I would walk up to our job site, our home being built, these subcontractors, I would watch as I pulled down into the gravel and I would get out and waddle my way to our future home. I would see subcontractors look out the window and see me. And by the time I waddled my way into the house, there were no subcontractors anymore. Like, I get it now. They were probably like, dear Lord, Oh my God, there she is. And I wore giant muumuus because I was humongous. I'm going to own it because I had 2 babies in me. And I was a train wreck. So, wow, I bet I was such a sight for those people. Anyway, I was doing all of that. And Dan was traveling. And it got really, really hard and really, really real. And so when the twins came home, and he was home for a bit, and then because it was a winter thing, so you were home for a while, got a little bit settled in the house, got a little tiny bit settled with so many little tiny humans in our world, and then spring was coming and he needed to go. And I remember trying to mentally avoid it, but realizing my days were numbered, and it was a very quick slide for me mentally to go from, okay, how am I going to make this work, to realizing, and now looking back at it, obviously I see it, I couldn't possibly do it all, because you can't even bathe twin infants with a toddler. Like it just doesn't work. Our scenario, what we had. And so I kept pondering it and trying to figure out and dreading you leaving, because I, for the first time, felt like I couldn't keep afloat what I needed to at home while you went. But I also knew from years and years and years of us doing this that it was necessary, and that was our common goal. Yeah. So the business brain in me was like, yes, you need to go because that's what we do. But my reality had changed so drastically, and I knew I was on my own. And my breaking point was a day that I remember distinctly. I was in the shower and that everything was running through my brain, and you were really getting close to leaving. I mean, maybe we were at a month, or we were at whatever, weeks. And I just broke down because I realized, in thinking it through, what I had to do just to go take that shower, and you being downstairs with all the kids, and what you were doing, I couldn't even do that. And how could I manage a bedtime, and how am I going to do the books, and how am I going to run the company? And there's just no way. And I lost it. I just broke down, and I had to, and this is important for all of you salespeople out there. Any scenario like this at all, I had to let go of the belief that I could do everything. And I also had to accept the fact that I'm still a good mom, even though I was realizing I couldn't do everything that used to be on my plate and what was newly on my plate. I'm still a good mom, and I'm still a strong adult, but there are limits to even Superman. And that was a hard one. And I had to come to that conclusion on my own. And so I'm telling all of you out there that if your person at home is anywhere near that, saying it out loud would help them a lot. It would have. I'll say it to you. If you would have turned to me and said, how in the world are you possibly going to do this, Tiff? You're amazing and you're awesome and you're incredible, but this is not anything that one person, I think it would have given me permission to get there faster. Okay. I'm going to be honest. I had to get there. And then I had to almost grieve my perception that a good mom can take care of her own kids. And a good mom does take care of her own kids, but that doesn't mean she doesn't need help. Right. That doesn't mean a good dad needs help. Anyone needs help, because it's not just that one piece. It was my whole world. And it was because we lived in such a different, you're not a 9-to-5, that you come home, you were traveling for work, plus you're not a 9-to-5. And I was going to be alone. And that was hard to get over. I had to release a lot of my preconceived notions and my expectations on my own self, and about what I believed a good adult, business partner, woman, wife, and mom was. And then I had to come to the other side of that and give myself permission to say, I don't think I can get everything done and be who I want to be. I want to be a good mom. I want to be a good business person. I want to be a functioning adult. And I need help. And you can't give me that help, because our priorities are, you need to go do this. That's a choice we're making. Yeah. And it was like a revelation when I got to that point, to be honest. There wasn't social media at that time. There was nothing. I didn't have anyone trailblazing for me. I didn't have any examples in the world. So I was really at a place where I couldn't find a resource. There wasn't a resource out there to lean on. And so that's part of my mission with us, with this, is to become that resource and say, it's okay. I've been there. You're going to be fine. And it's okay to look at everything that you have and say, what can I shift and what can I take care of? It doesn't make you less of a person. It doesn't make you less of a parent or an adult. It actually makes you a better one, because we got our Angela. We got people. We got people to help. And after a shift in my mental place with how my expectations of myself and how I wanted to move forward. I also wanted to be a good mom and a good functioning person. And so I knew I needed reinforcements. And coming to you and saying, I think I need help was very, very hard. It was a very humbling thing for me. And I was the only one putting myself up to those expectations, but it was very humbling. It was hard. Yeah. And you were on board.
Yeah, right away I said,
yeah,
if there's anything that you need while I'm gone, I mean, monetarily wise, I'm working and we're going to make the money. I said, yeah, I'm on board.
Right. Just do it. Yeah. It's just that I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have anyone in front of me. I had no one to reach out to. I had no one in my same scenario. I felt very isolated. I didn't have you couldn't Google anything.
Well, I think that was your biggest issue, is you didn't know how to get help.
Right.
It wasn't a matter of, to the point now you needed help.
Right.
But how are you going to get that
exactly
help?
And so I just feel like part of my mission now, and what I've talked about with so many salespeople out there who come to me when we're presenting together, is telling going to that person. Don't make them climb that mountain by themselves and get to that mentally. Don't even make them do that. Just say, you have a lot that is now going to be put on you. It's about the mental picture of, if I'm clearing your plate so that you can go do what you need to do to meet our common goals, our team goals together. If I'm sliding everything off of your plate except what you need to go and do what you do, suddenly my plate is overflowing. And I think that's the next thing that needs to be thought about. Yeah. Okay, it needs to be, okay, you slid all of that over and you're going to go because we've made financial goals and we are agreeing to make sacrifices. But let's stop for a second. Now, what does that mean for your person at home, your people at home? What does that mean for the people around you, that what was on your plate isn't on your plate anymore, and now it's on my plate? Well, now my plate is overflowing. So it's about dissecting that. It's about saying to yourself, to each other, okay, but I just took half of your stuff and all of my stuff. Now what?
And now figuring out what on your plate, what we can do to take off your plate.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've always said that I've always looked at you. Well, I learned to look at you from a business standpoint. Dan is most profitable to me. You've heard me say it. In front of an insurance adjuster, in front of a homeowner, from a business standpoint, taking all the emotion out. So my goal is to keep you in front of insurance adjusters and homeowners, because there's only so many hours in the day. And I need to maximize how many hours you're doing exactly that from a business standpoint, which means I pull back from you anything that I can. Well, at this moment, I'm pulling it onto my plate. But now the same thing needs to go for me. Why wouldn't that same rule apply to me? So now I need to look at my plate and I need to figure out what I'm most profitable doing, and also what is most important that I'm doing. What do I need to do? What do I want to do? I've always said that, because you don't want to burn out. And everything else, you need to figure out how to shift. So for us, those are things like a lawn service, a lawnmower mows our yard, right? We're supporting local. We're supporting a local lawn mowing company, a local family, in having that service done. It takes that off of your plate. It was never going to be on my plate. Let's be real.
Well, I tried mowing our lawn the first time.
It did. Okay. So we took that off the plate. Having a house cleaner It's not about having a fancy maid serve. It's about literally having a house cleaner come in once a week, once every 2 weeks, once a month, and do the deep clean, do the things that your person at home doesn't want to do or doesn't have time to do. But it's about taking that weight off of their plate and shifting it. Okay. It's about a delivery service for groceries and things like that. These are all resources that are available now that you can take that off of someone's plate.
Well, I think a lot of the taking off your plate, what people realize is it's not so much, just taking off plate because you don't want to do it. It's the time that you save in doing that. You can spend that time in areas where, like you said, that you really, really want to do and you should be doing.
Absolutely.
Spending time with your kids and spending time with your family to me is 1,000 times more important than going out and mowing your lawn.
Right.
And we talked about that when I come home on weekends. The
was-
last thing I wanted to do was jump on a riding mower and for the next 4 hours mow the yard,
Right.
weed eat, do all
Right.
that. I could spend those 4 hours playing t-ball with the kids in the front yard or doing
Absolutely.
things like that, which to me, structurally wise and emotionally wise, is so much more beneficial to your children and to
Absolutely.
yourself than it would be to sit on a riding lawnmower for 4
Right.
hours.
And especially if you're putting in the hours that you put
100%.
in, especially during a storm, you need to make sure that every waking moment that you're not doing your work, that you're making that the most meaningful moments you can for your family, your friends, your village around you. What is most important to you? Are you getting your volunteer hours in? Are you supporting your community? Are you with your kiddos or your nieces or your nephews or your
100%.
friends or your family? You need to make those moments count because there's only so many minutes in the day.
And that a lot of that is what we talk about all the time when we go out and speak is having that career mentality.
Yes.
Having that mentality that this is your career, and yes, your job is so important to you and you're taking care of it, but equally important, if not more important, is your family and friends and your personal life.
Right.
And that's where a lot of people, they get so stuck in the work life of it,
Right.
where they push the personal life off to the side, and that's where you see a lot of problems and issues arise in the family life because they don't worry about that. They worry about the work life only.
Right. So as much as you're being intentional about your time when you're working and devoting to the team goals, your family's on board, your village is on board, on the other side of that coin, you need to be just as intentional with your time when you aren't working. Like
Yeah.
those moments are precious. So be intentional. Don't waste them. It's as important as you're as intentional going and meeting that adjuster and you have to get this file completed and you have to send this email. It's to turn around and show up and be there. So things, the lesser things that you can find ways to get off of your to-do list. And we love supporting local. So it's about looking around. Is there a kiddo in your neighborhood that could do your yard, for example, that could come over and water all of the pots and the flowers? I mean, you have to think outside the box.
Yeah.
But just if saying to me, hey, I hired a kid down the street to come do all the watering, so you don't have to do it anymore. Wow. That is like magic. Like, how thoughtful and considerate for you to say that's something you don't need to be doing.
Yeah.
I'm going to hire a teenage kiddo down the street, give them a little job. It's going to be a win-win-win. And you are a tiny bit of hero for me for a few
Big
minutes.
hero.
For a few minutes. So for me, back in that scenario, it was a little bit more extreme with all of the children that we had going on. And I'm running a company and settling into a new house, handling all of the books, handling all of our family stuff. It was a tremendous mountain I was climbing. And I just said, I need help. I physically need more hands than I have. 2 hands can't carry all of the children that I now have accumulated in our world. And so I went to a website because we didn't have Google.
Do you think
We didn't have socials.
we should save this for our next podcast? Because this one, this is a good one.
All right. Well, I suppose I can give away the keys to how I navigated
That's what I'm
it.
saying.
Okay.
That'd be a
Is
great
this
topic
like
for the next podcast.
is this like the tiniest cliffhanger you've ever seen?
I'm telling you, it's a pretty good cliffhanger
Yeah.
because she's
All
got
right.
some good.
So I guess our takeaway from this portion is, as intentional as you are and as intense as you are, doing the work side of it because you have a storm or you have a big project or you have a big contract you're working on, it's to remember to be just as intentional with those other moments in your world,
100%.
hard to find, and make those moments count. Make sure you're at that baseball game or that soccer game, or you take that kiddo to ice cream, or you're showing up for your parents or the family barbecue on the 4th of July. If you're there, be there. Make those moments count so that when you can't be there, you've put in some time,
Yeah.
and you've shown up when you can. So the intentionalism of your brain, the salesperson's brain, when you're not working needs to be just as intense.
I agree. And remember, everybody, always be a good human.
Be a good human, not just a headline.